You know those nagging symptoms that you just can't seem to shake? That little cough, the headache, that feeling of just being tired all the time? Well, what if the culprit isn't just another cold? What if it's a secret intruder hiding in your own home? In this explainer, we're going to play detective and find out if mold could be the real reason you're feeling sick. So, let's start with clue number 1. Have you got a cough that just hangs on? You know the kind I'm talking about. It lingers for weeks and weeks, way after any normal cold should have been gone.
Or how about this one? A nose that's always stuffy. Or maybe those dull, persistent headaches that you just kind of write off as, oh, it's just stress, or it was a long day.
And then there's the fatigue. And I'm not talking about just being a little tired. I mean that deep down, unexplained exhaustion. Pair that with itchy, watery eyes, and it feels like you're stuck in the worst allergy season ever. But all year long. If any of that is ringing a bell, the answer might not be in your medicine cabinet. The real cause could be a silent guest, hiding where you'd least expect it, maybe even right inside your own walls. So, let's get into it. Section 1, the unseen culprit. It's time to officially name our prime suspect. It's incredibly common, it's quiet, and its name is mold. You see, the thing about mold is, it's a ninja. It is an absolute expert at being stealthy. It grows quietly in all those places we hardly ever check. You know, attics, basements, behind the drywall. And what that means is millions of us could be living with it every single day and have absolutely no idea. Okay, so before we can really catch this culprit, we need to understand it. Let's move on to section 2 and ask the big question. What exactly is mold anyway? At its very core, mold is just a type of fungus. And its entire game plan for survival is pretty simple. Find a damp spot and then start releasing these teeny tiny microscopic spores into the air, the very air we all breathe. And get this, it doesn't need much to get going. The recipe is just 3 simple ingredients. A little bit of moisture, think a small leak or even just humidity in the air, something to eat, like wood or drywall, and a comfortable moderate temperature. Sound familiar? Yeah, that's basically the description of most of our homes. And what's on the menu? Essentially our houses. Just look at this list. Drywall, wood, carpet, wallpaper. For mold, this isn't a house. It's a 24/7 all-you-can-eat buffet. And that is exactly why it can become such a huge problem so fast. Okay, so we've profiled our suspect. We know what it is, we know how it thrives. Now for the really crucial part. In section 3, connecting the symptoms. How do we actually link those spores in the air to the way we're feeling? Well, here's the challenge. The symptoms of mold exposure are masters of disguise. They look almost identical to seasonal allergies, or that cold that you feel like you just keep getting over and over again. And that's why the real cause is so often missed. And the list of potential symptoms? It's surprisingly broad. Yeah, we're talking about the obvious ones, the congestion and watery eyes, but it can also branch out into things you might never connect to your home's air quality, like brain fog, skin irritation, or this persistent headaches. So what's the single biggest clue? This right here is the smoking gun. It's a simple test of location. If you feel sick, tired, and congested pretty much all the time at home, but then you feel way better or maybe even perfectly fine when you're away from home, that is a giant red flag. Your environment is almost certainly the problem. Now, it's also really important to know that some of us are just more sensitive to this stuff than others. People who already deal with allergies or asthma, plus young children, older adults, and anyone with a weaker immune system, they're probably going to notice stronger and faster reactions. All right, so you're starting to suspect that mold might be the issue. It is time to put our detective hats back on for section 4 and figure out, where does this stuff actually hide? Let's search for its most common hideouts. Here's the thing. Mold is a master of hiding. Your home could look absolutely spotless on the surface, while a really serious problem is brewing just out of sight, literally right behind the drywall. So where should you even begin to look? Well, here are the top 5 hotspots. You start with the obvious damp places, like basements and under sinks. But don't forget the really hidden areas, like inside your HVAC system, which can circulate spores through the whole house, or up in the attic, where one tiny roof leak can create a massive problem. Which leads us to the most logical next question, right? If you can't see it, how on earth are you supposed to find it? Luckily, there are some telltale signs. You have to use your senses. That persistent, musty smell is often the very first clue. Also, look for little visual hints, like some faint discoloration on the ceiling, maybe some bubbling paint, or any sign of past water damage. Trust me, your nose often knows what's up before your eyes do.
Okay, we've identified our suspect, we've linked it to the crime, and we've searched the hideouts. So, in our final section, it's time to solve the case with some prevention and next steps.
Now, here's the single most important thing to take away from all this. Mold has an Achilles heel. It absolutely cannot grow without moisture. So, if you control the moisture in your home, you control the mold. That's why the golden rule is to keep your indoor humidity below 60%. And here are 4 really actionable steps you can take. First, fix any leaks the moment you find them. Second, make sure your home has good airflow. Third, always use those exhaust fans in the kitchen and bathroom to pull all that moisture out. And fourth, in those naturally damp areas like a basement, a good dehumidifier is your new best friend. So we'll end with this thought. Your intuition is a powerful tool in this whole investigation. If you consistently feel unwell when you're at home, if something about your environment just doesn't feel right, trust that instinct. It might be time to look a little deeper, because being your own health detective is the first step to protecting your home and yourself.